revealed. The sinister rules of a haunted Tacoma mall where unexplained terrors lurk at night. Emily was on the brink, her heart racing as she flipped the security desk lamp on, casting weak light across the dingy room. The once bustling Tacoma mall was now a shadow of its former glory. Darkened storefronts loomed like silent giants, the air heavy with whispers of the lost. Alone in the eerie silence, she couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were watching. Their presence was undeniable. A prickle on the back of her neck, a chill dancing down her spine as she took her seat for the night shift. A haunted mall, who wouldn't get spooked? She muttered to herself, trying to dismiss the urban legends she had heard. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, her eyes darting between the flickering screens that barely illuminated the empty aisles. The mall had been known for its ghost stories, one too many reports of mysterious figures drifting past storefronts, shadowy beings lingering in corners, refusing to let the living rest. Suddenly, the lights above flickered, casting jagged shadows across the floor. Emily's breath hitched. A cold sweat clung to her skin. Just the bulbs, they're old, she whispered, seeking comfort in reason. But who was she kidding? That discomfort was wrapping itself around her throat, squeezing tighter with each passing minute. She forced herself to refocus on the screens when she heard it, a low, almost indiscernible whisper wafting through the darkness. Get out! It sent spikes of terror through her body. No, it must be exhaustion. Motherhood at home and night shifts wrapped up like a tight knot around her mind. Shrugging it off, she refocused, but the whispers persisted, and her heart began to race as minutes turned into hours. She spotted a dusty corner of the mall she had never noticed. Stepping past a decrepit children's play area, something caught her eye: a collection of crumpled flyers stuck with fading tape. Faces stared back at her, their smiles frozen in time. Missing persons vanished without a trace. A shudder cascaded down her spine. Bold letters screamed, "Have you seen me?" as horror struck her heart. Each name echoed in her memory. The girl from the shop down the street, the boy who used to skate outside the arcade. In hushed tones, people spoke of the sinister rumors, the spirits unwilling to leave. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Her breath was coming in short gasps now. The sense of dread grew heavier, forcing her to confront the chilling possibility that these shadows were connected to a sinister force lurking in the mall, waiting for the right moment. Her moment. In that instant, her phone buzzed with a message. It was her neighbor, a man she once trusted. The words made her blood run cold. "I know what you're looking for," she frantically called him, her hands trembling. "What do you know?" The reply was chilling, slithering through the phone. "Things aren't what they seem, Emily. Not in this mall. Not with your kids." Panic twisted her gut. The whispers in the air intensified, seeking to drown out her thoughts. Suddenly the ground felt unsteady beneath her, and every flickering light seemed to pulse with life as the shadows danced, beckoning her to discover the truth. She was racing against an unseen clock now. But who could she trust? The ghosts of the past were hungry, and she was caught in their web, edging ever closer to a horrifying revelation that could cost her everything. Would she make it out alive? Or would she become yet another face lost to the mall's mournful whispers? Emily's pulse thudded violently as she ended the call. The screen went black, swallowed by the encroaching shadows. Her breaths came fast and shaky. The oppressive stillness of the mall now felt like a trap, closing in around her. The whispers, soft at first, erupted into a cacophony, reverberating off the cold, hard walls. "Get out, save your children!" A shiver ran down her spine as she glanced at the darkened corners. The fear gripped her chest like a vice, and she fought it down. But the words haunted her mind. The thought of her children made her stomach churn. She couldn't let this place swallow her whole. She rose from her chair, determination sparking a fleeting moment of courage. She caught sight of the flickering lights overhead again. Each blink felt like a heartbeat, dangerously alive and pulsing with an unyielding force. She needed answers. Without thinking, she took a deep breath and stepped away from the desk, aiming toward the abandoned stores like a moth drawn to a flickering flame. With hesitant steps, she moved past the remnants of consumer culture dark storefronts, broken mannequins trapped in eternal poses, and faded signs from happier times. Each echoing footstep filled the air with ominous anticipation. Emily stopped at the entrance of a store that once sold toys. The window, now grimy with dust, displayed a lone teddy bear, its button eyes glimmering in the dim light. "What am I doing?" she whispered, dread clawing at her throat. But something was compelling her to peer through the grime. Instead of playful displays, this store held a hollow silence, a gaping void that seemed to call her deeper. She wiped the glass clean, catching her breath as the reflection met her gaze. Suddenly, her own image faded away, and another emerged behind her. A shadowy figure stood still, face obscured, shrouded in darkness. She spun around, heart racing, but found nothing. An unearthly whisper scratched at her ear. "Stay with us." Emily's breath hitched again. Was this what her neighbor meant? Were the lost souls bringing her closer to their tragic end? She took a shaky step backward, her thoughts spiraling. She stumbled toward the food court, where the scent of stale popcorn lingered in the air. The space was vast and empty, but the silence was palpable, heavy like fog. Shadows lurked behind the deserted counters, shapes flickering just out of sight. A surge of dread swelled in her chest. "Whatever you are, just leave me alone," she shouted, her voice echoing in the vacuous space. And then it happened. The lights above her blinked violently, shattering the silence into 100 pieces. The whispers transformed into cries, voices of the missing, crying out for help, echoing her panic. She clamped her hands over her ears, but the sounds crept into her head, invading her mind like poison. Names she recognized flickered in and out, spinning her thoughts into chaos. Suddenly, a door creaked open at the end of the food court. The dim light beyond revealed a silhouette. Emily froze, her instincts screaming, "Run!" But she stood her ground as the figure moved closer, stepping into the muted glow of the mall's emergency lighting. A familiar face, contorted in anguish, emerged from the darkness. It was her neighbor, the man she had trusted. Emily, his voice was broken, a mere whisper. "You have to listen to me." The urgency in his tone sent a chill through her. What could he possibly reveal that would make sense of the terror engulfing her? But before she could process his words, something cold coiled around her ankle. Heart racing, she looked down and gasped. The shadowy tendril was pulling her, dragging her toward the darkness she feared most. "Help!" She reached out, panic overwhelming her. She couldn't let them take her. As she clawed at the ground, her neighbor's agonized face was all that remained in her field of vision. "Emily, you're in danger." With one last desperate yank, the shadows pulled her into the unknown, and she screamed, swallowed by the darkness. As silence returned, the fading whispers seemed to mock her. In that abyss she felt the cold embrace of despair, inching closer to the truth that might be more horrific than she ever imagined. Was she destined to join the others, lost in this nightmare? What would happen next, as the haunted mall prepared to reveal its chilling secrets? Emily's scream faded into the dark void, swallowed by an echo that felt endless. The cold tendril tightened its grip, dragging her down, deeper into the shadows. She fought against it, her hands clawing at the floor, but it felt like grasping at smoke. The cold seeped into her bones, stealing the heat from her fear. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the tugging stopped. She lay still, chest heaving, the remnants of her last breath hanging in the damp air. There was no light, no trace of the food court or her neighbor, just an all-consuming darkness wrapped around her, oppressive and heavy. "Where am I?" she whispered, the sound swallowed by the void that an eerie stillness replied, and the silence wore on her like a thick shroud. She blinked into the blackness, her vision betraying her. Shadows danced just outside her perception, shapes flickering like candle flames. Desperation gnawed at her. Where were her children? The frantic thoughts twisted and turned like a storm in her mind. Emily, the voice shot through the darkness, sharp and clear. It was her neighbor, but it didn't sound like him. This voice was warped, dripping with malice. You have to realize, it's much worse than what you think. She rose to her feet, heart racing. What did you mean? What's happening here? Voices began to swirl around her, each whispering in agonized tones. Save your children flared up again. Listen closely. The voice continued, unfurling through the dark. The mall is alive. It feeds off fear, and it hungers for you. The fear intensified within her chest. Feeds? What do you mean? Without warning, the darkness broke. A feeble light glimmered ahead, a sickly green glow emanating from what appeared to be an entrance. Emily stumbled toward it, curiosity mingled with dread. Each cautious step echoed like a heartbeat, each pulse a reminder of her own vulnerability. As she approached, the figures became clearer. People were gathered, expressions twisted in darkened anguish, their bodies barely discernible. They stood as if frozen in time, like mannequins caught in a moment of despair. Their eyes followed her, hollow orbs of unending sorrow. A quick glance told her these were the lost souls, trapped within the confines of the mall. Each reflecting the horror she felt. One figure began to break from the group, stepping forward. It was a woman, her mouth opening in a silent scream. Emily's heart twisted in recognition. No, please, no. The woman was her old friend, Sarah, who had vanished years ago. Emily, they will take you. You don't belong. Sarah's lips moved wildly, yet no sound escaped. Terror flooded Emily. She extended a hand toward her. At that moment, the tendrils returned, wrapping around her ankles once more. A chilling realization dawned. The woman was warning her, but she was here in spirit, powerless against what imprisoned her. Save please your children. The chorus of whispers surged again, stronger, wrapping around Emily like a vice. Fighting against the shadows, Emily pulled back, panic igniting her limbs. I want to be like you. I want to. The shadows surged, threatening to envelop her completely. Sarah's face twisted in agony, and in that moment, she reached out as if still trying to save Emily. You have to find them, find the heart of the mall. The words crackled through the air, echoing like a thunderclap. But the shadows coiled tighter, swallowing her friend's image before it could fade into the darkness. Desperately, Emily felt the thin barrier between fear and resolve. I will not be lost, she cried, pulling her foot from the grip of the shadows. But the shadows answered, pulling her back with an insidious force. With a jolt of willpower, she thrust herself toward the entrance bathed in green light, hoping it was a way out. Just as she lunged, she felt a hard tug on her leg. Emily! The cries intensified, a whirlwind of terrified voices. You can't escape. And then, she burst into the light, breaking free, but the darkness closed in behind her. She found herself in a vast chamber filled with children's laughter. Yet it twisted and turned into manic cackles that made her stomach turn. Before her stood a towering display of toys, all watching her with lifeless eyes, as shadows slithered around the periphery, poised to strike again. The glimmering hope of escape shattered anew as she realized the heart of the mall was not what she expected. It was a labyrinthine trap of horrors, a vortex of nightmares. Navigate the maze, but beware, whistled a chilling voice from somewhere in the darkness, waiting just beyond the glow. Too late, she understood. Clarity seeped through the terror. She had to find the children before the place could finally consume them all. But what awaited her in that nightmare realm? Would she find a way to save them or be swallowed by the mall's insatiable hunger? The darkness sighed, ready to reveal its true self. A chill ran down Emily's spine, the laughter around her shifting into a sinister symphony of taunts. Each note echoed with twisted joy, mocking her desperation. The toys on display, stuffed bears with hollow eye sockets, dolls with cracked porcelain faces, took on a grotesque life, swaying as if caught in a haunting dance. She pressed a hand against her mouth, suppressing a gasp. This was no ordinary mall. It was a nightmare brought to life, With a racing heart, she turned left down an aisle of toys. The shelves stretched infinitely above her, towering like monoliths. Shadows slithered between the toys and her mind whirled the voices, the ghosts, the warnings. She had to hold on to her purpose. Find her children. Mommy! Help! The faint, fragile voice cut through the chaos, threading through her fear like a beacon. Her pulse quickened. Was it them? In this twisted place, was it possible? Kids! She shouted, urgency clenching her throat. She pushed forward, but the laughter grew louder, drowning her out, a wave of mockery crashing against her. The shadows deepened, dark tendrils reaching for her. They whispered promises of safety if she just turned back. But Emily shook her head, fighting the pull of despair. No, I will find them. As she delved deeper into the labyrinth, she passed a giant toy castle, its drawbridge hanging ominously. Curious, she slipped inside. Inside, the air was thick with an oppressive weight, and the walls pulsed with an unsettling rhythm, almost as if the structure itself breathed. Emily! The voice was clearer now, closer. Mommy! Pierced the shadows like a knife. She rushed toward it, fear driving her forward. Suddenly, an icy wind whipped through the castle, extinguishing the faint light, shrouding her in darkness once more. The laughter morphed into echoes of children crying, their calls merging into an anguished cacophony. Panic spiraled within her. Stay together. Don't let them take you, she screamed, knowing her words were no more than desperate whispers in a raging storm. She sprinted toward a dim flicker, a small light that dared to exist amidst the stifling black. But as she approached the light, the shadows slithered faster, wrapping around her legs like serpents. You can't leave, they hissed, their voices a sickly sweet lull. You're one of us now. No. She fought back, wrenching her legs free with a strength sparked by a mother's love. With a surge, she leapt through the light and into a small chamber filled with rusted toys, fortresses of forgotten dreams. And there they were, her children, huddled together, eyes wide with terror. They were real. Mommy! Their arms reached for her. But just as she was about to grasp them, a monstrous figure loomed behind them, towering and cloaked in shadows, its face obscured yet radiating a pure, consuming malice. Too late. Emily, it boomed, thick dread suffusing the air. They cannot be saved. This is my domain. Shock poured through her, but it ignited an even deeper rage. You won, take them, she roared, stepping between the looming horror and her children. A thunderous laughter erupted, shaking her to the core. The realm shifted and twisted. The very walls seemed to ripple as the creature advanced. Panic surged within her, but she held her ground. I'll find a way. Then, in a flash, she remembered Sarah's words. Find the heart of the mall. The phrase flickered through her head like an incandescent bulb, illuminating the darkness. What do you want? She shouted to the creature, knowing she was now bargaining for her children. Fear, it replied, venom dripping from its voice. And you've given me plenty. On a whim, Emily pointed toward the pulse of darkness. Then I'll face it. The declaration hung in the air, a heartbeat before the shadows closed around her. Would she have the power to navigate this hell and save her children? The laughter shifted to a low growl, and the creature lunged. And just like that, the shadows shifted again, and Emily suddenly stood at the entrance of another corridor, the ghostly whispers growing louder, pulling her forward. But this time she was prepared. Would she defeat the darkness that threatened her family? Or was she stepping into an even deeper nightmare? The path ahead twisted into a dark unknown, the stakes climbing higher with each passing moment. Emily stumbled into the corridor, her heart pounding like a war drum. The whispers intensified but coiled tighter around her resolve. Stay strong, she muttered, gripping the unseen notion of hope like a lifeline. The corridor narrowed, walls lined with mirrors coated in grime. They reflected distorted images of herself, twisting and stretching in grotesque ways. Every face was a mask of fear, every movement a reminder of how deeply she was ensnared within the creature's dark game. As she pressed forward, the floors groaned beneath her weight, a mournful sound that echoed throughout the twisted passage. Her breath quickened. "Where are you?" she shouted, desperate to reach her children. "I'm coming for you." To her right, a door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit room cluttered with discarded toys. The floor was carpeted with dust and shadows. Eerie shapes spiraled around every corner. A faint giggle drifted from within. Was it them? Kids? She stepped inside, each footfall filled with dread. The moment she crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut behind her, sealing her in an oppressive darkness. Panic rose, thick and suffocating. Her children's laughter echoed, but it was a taunt, echoing off the walls, fueling the shadows that coiled tighter around her. "No!" she screamed, and the world spun. The toys now animated by an unseen force, their laughter blending with the mocking mirth of the unseen creature. "Play with us," a voice breathed, soft yet laced with malice. Emily's skin prickled. Doubt seeped in with the darkness, weaving doubts about her own intentions. What if she was merely leading them to their doom? "Stop!" she cried, pressing her palms against her ears. "You can't have them." She focused on the slithering shadows, her rage surging like a tidal wave. "Leave them alone." With a roar, she plunged into the mass of shadows, fists swinging. They felt cold, like iron chains trying to bind her. Each blow fueled the desperation that coursed through her body. Inside the chaos, a familiar voice cut through the cacophony. "Mommy, we're scared." It was Lily, her youngest. Emily's heart twisted. She fought against the darkness, heart pounding, muscles straining. "Just hold on." Her words ignited a fire within her, pushing through the writhing mass that sought to pull her under. The more she fought, the clearer the voice became, slicing through the dark like a beacon. Then she saw them, her children, huddled in a corner. Their faces were pale, eyes wide with terror, arms wrapped around each other for comfort. Relief surged through her, but fear quickly snatched it away. Behind them, the monstrous figure materialized, larger than before. Its eyes glowed with a sinister hunger, the air thick with dread. "You can't protect them, Emily." Emily lunged forward, adrenaline firing her limbs. "Get away from them." The creature laughed, a sound dripping with malice. "What will you do? Fight me? Only I can give them what they truly desire." The children shrank back, their expressions confused, caught between love and fear. Every heartbeat in the room synchronized with the creature's rhythmic sway, as if it thrived off the very essence of their fear. "No!" she shouted, stepping closer. "You won't take them." But the monster extended a hand, shadow curling around its fingers like smoke. "Join me, and they will never know this pain again." Emily hesitated, the impossible choice clawing at her heart. Would she sacrifice herself for their safety? A sudden memory flickered Sarah's voice. Find the heart? What was it? The heart of the mall? Was there a way out? Suddenly, the building itself shuddered, a low rumble coursing through the ground. The shadows recoiled slightly, revealing a path lined with faint glimmers of light. "Go to the heart," she yelled, her voice carrying intense urgency as she dashed towards her children. "Run." But as they turned to flee, the creature's laughter filled the space, drowning out their cries. "You can't escape me. You belong here." Emily's heart raced. They had to reach the exit. There was no room for doubt. As they ran along the corridor, Emily felt the oppressive weight of shadows close behind, a relentless, creeping dread threatening to consume them all. Was this the true test? Would they make it to the heart, or was the creature's grasp too powerful? The glimmers of light stretched ahead, but the path twisted, the darkness deepened. And with every step, the haunting echoes whispered a dreadful truth. They were not just running away. They were running out of time. The flickering light urged them forward, teasing like a promise only to be chased by curtains of darkness. Emily's breath was ragged. Each heartbeat thundered in her ears, drowning out the creature's mocking laughter that reverberated like a twisted symphony. "Run, run, run," she urged her kids, their tiny hands clasped tightly in hers. She could feel them trembling, their fear merging with her own into a tangible force. "We're almost there." But just as hope ignited a flicker in her mind, the ground beneath them quivered. A shuddering roar reverberated through the building, sending vibrations up her legs. The glimmers of light dimmed, morphing into sickly shadows that clawed at her ankles. She stumbled as if the very mall was alive, pushing against her escape. Then she saw the walls shift. They morphed, stretching high and contorting low, like the maw of a hungry beast ready to swallow them whole. The mirrors shattered, releasing a cacophony of reflections, each one a fractured image of horror. Emily could see her face distorted in one eye's wild, mouth open in a silent scream. Behind them, a curtain of darkness advanced, undulating like a wave backlit by the cold glow of fear. Emily could almost hear it whisper her name, could feel its claws stretching across the back of her neck. "Don't look back," she commanded them, her voice raw but steady. "Just keep running." They pressed on, their feet barely grazing the ground, urgency fueling their escape. Lily's small voice started to waver. "Mommy, I can't know." "You can," Emily urged, but doubt shadowed her own heart. What if she couldn't keep them safe? What if they were already too late? The shadows thickened, wrapping tightly around their legs, pulling them down like quicksand. "Fight it!" Emily shouted, adrenaline pumping through every nerve. She swung her arms, trying to shake free of the encroaching dark, the oppressive air thickening like a heavy fog. The creature's voice rose above the chaos, a haunting serenade. "They will never escape me." "Emily, you know that," Lily cried out, burst of tears spilling down her cheeks. "Mommy, make it stop." Emily's heart shattered at her daughter's fear. "I will, sweetie, I will." She squeezed their hands tighter, determined not to let them go. And then, as if the universe answered her prayer, the glimmer of light began to pulse, stronger now. The path ahead widened, revealing an archway draped in soft, golden threads of light that shimmered like hope. "That's it. We're almost there." With renewed purpose they ran, bursting into the bright expanse. But the monster's laughter echoed, rolling like thunder. The walls suddenly twisted again, swallowing the exit into a spiral of despair. "No!" Emily screamed, panic clawing at her throat. The brightness dimmed, replaced by an icy chill that seeped into her bones. Shadows surged, a roiling tide intent on drawing them back. She felt it, a cold wind swirling, revealing an inescapable choice that lay ahead. "What's the heart?" she whispered to herself, recalling Sarah's words. The tremor in the floor for a moment silenced the creature, a hush like anticipation hanging thick in the air. Time seemed to retract, pulling them back into the maw of dark. Was it a lie, this path of light? "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily whimpered, squeezing her hand tighter. "Stay with me," Emily cried. She had to make a choice, and each second burned away precious hope. Suddenly, a desperate thought flashed in her mind. "We need to find the heart of the mall. It's here. But where?" A shadow lunged from the corner of her eye, darting closer. A gnarled claw reached out, brushing against her hair. She recoiled, staring into the dark void, a mass of swirling despair. It was wrong. It was wrong in every way, and she had to fight. Then a terrible realization struck her. "The heart, it's within us," she gasped. Memories flooded back, love, laughter, the warmth of family. Lily and Jacob looked up, their faces reflecting bravery. "Mommy?" they whispered, full of hope. Together, Emily shouted, the energy igniting within her. They clasped hands, and as they did, the light surged again, less than a glimmer, more than a promise. But would it be enough? The creature's laughter pierced the air, a testament to its ancient power. As the shadows coiled tighter around them, Emily realized it was a race against time, not just to escape, but to confront the heart of the darkness threatening to consume them all. Was love strong enough to defeat the evil lurking in the night? Or would the monster claim them before they could uncover the truth? The whispers hung in the air, alluring and sinister, ready to pounce. In that critical moment, Emily faced the ultimate choice. Would she dive into the depths of the darkness to save her children, or would paranoia tether her down? And deep down, she knew only one thing remained clear. They could not escape until they confronted what lay at the heart of their fears. But would they dare? The shadows twisted tighter, pulsating in rhythm with Emily's frantic heartbeat. Her mind raced, straining to grasp the truth buried in her memories. "It's inside us," she repeated, her voice shaky but insistent. "We have to believe the love we share is stronger than this darkness." With steady breaths, she smiled at Lily and Jacob, drawing on the warmth of family to forge a shield against the cold dread surrounding them. "We can do this, together," she urged, her gaze steely despite her fear. But the darkness didn't relent. It roared and festered, wrapping them in icy tendrils that sought to snuff out their tiny spark of hope. Shadows shimmered around them, a nightmarish cyclone whipping through the air. Emily felt its weight pressing down, a suffocating blanket trying to smother their resolve. "Now," she commanded, feeling the cold creep closer. "Hold tight." In a defiant act, they clutched each other as hands, wishing fervently for the flicker of warmth to illuminate the path ahead. It was as if the essence of their love ignited a spark of light. It wasn't much, but it was enough. The shadows recoiled slightly, hesitant to confront the power radiating from their bond. "Mommy, I feel it," Jacob whispered, his tiny voice filled with wonder. Emily's heart swelled. "Yes, that's it. Keep holding on, baby. Let the light grow bigger." The light flickered higher, the shadows around them shifting uneasily, as if the fabric of the darkness pulsed with uncertainty. Emily poured her will into that light, fiercely imagining every shared laugh, every hug, every moment of love that bound them together. But the weight of the darkness surged again, jabbing at their resolve, the creaturesque laughter echoing in their minds. "You think love can save you?" Its voice slithered, crawling beneath her skin. "You're fools to believe you can fight me." Emily shook her head, her jaw clenched. "No, we won't be your victims." Suddenly, she saw it a flicker in the gloom, an opening, a space between the shadows, almost like an invitation. "There," she pointed, conviction bubbling in her chest. "We can dive into it. It could be the heart of them all." With adrenaline surging, they pressed forward. The darkness howled, trailing them like a fierce beast, but they didn't falter. The light within them burned fiercely, urging them on as they dove through the opening. As they burst into a new chamber, they were greeted by a sight that confirmed their fears. A vast room lined with mirrors, all reflecting distorted images of their darker selves. Each surface glimmered with malicious energy, capturing their deepest insecurities and regrets. The reflections twisted, morphing into idealized visions of happiness, then crashing back into scenes of desperation. "Mommy," Lily gasped, staring wide-eyed at a reflection that showed her alone, lost in endless darkness. "Make it stop." Emily's breath caught, but she breathed slowly. "Look at me, Lily. You're not alone. I'm here." She couldn't look away from the mirrors. They were pulling her in, revealing her own deepest fears of failure as a mother, of not being enough. "Stay strong," whispered Jacob, drawing her focus. His image shimmered in one of the mirrors, a beacon of belief and hope. Suddenly, the creature surged forward from the shadows, a monstrous black mass with countless eyes, drawing closer with each heartbeat. "This is where I thrive. All of your fears are mine to control. You'll never escape." Emily felt a wave of despair wash over her, growing from the dread pooling in her stomach. But then she thought of all they had endured, the love they shared that had brought them this far. The realization struck her this room was their true challenge. "Look away from the darkness," Emily shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. "Focus on each other. Remember who we are." A powerful light erupted from their intertwined hands, casting back the shadows. For a moment, the darkness hesitated, shrinking as their bond radiated warmth. But would it be enough to shatter the mirrors and break the creature's hold? The laughter morphed into shrieks of rage, promise of pain that caressed their ears. What began as a glimmer of hope flickered like a dying flame as they faced the twisted reflection of their worst fears. Would they defeat the darkness or be consumed by it, trapped forever in the labyrinth of shadows? No, Emily roared, defiance fueling her voice. But just as she was about to lunge toward the heart of the chamber, a mirrored surface shattered, splintering in a cacophony of despair. An icy wind rushed through the room, obscuring the path ahead. What had she unleashed? Would the light endure, or would they be swallowed whole? The echoes of twisted laughter filled the air as uncertainty clawed at her throat. There was only one way forward, but it felt like stepping into madness. Could they truly face the heart of their fears? Or was it too late? Emily's heart raced as shards of glass fell, reflecting her face twisted in panic. The wind coiled around them, whispering secrets that clawed at her sanity. She squeezed Jacob's hand tighter, feeling his warmth battling the chill of the shadows. Could they really endure this torment? Stay with me, she shouted, her voice ragged but strong. Lily whimpered next to her, eyes darting between the shattered mirrors, where once serene images of happiness now echoed their torment, each twisted reflection a dagger in their hearts. Mommy, I don't want to see them. I hate those things. Keep your eyes on me. Emily locked her gaze onto her daughter's frightened face. We're stronger together. The laughter from the creature grew louder, a cacophony of malice that bounced off the walls, twisting reality. You think you can escape? Your fears are my feast. Embrace them. The shadows writhed, eager to engulf them, but Emily held her ground. She thought back to idyllic moments, the taste of summer picnics, the warmth of bedtime stories, the laughter that danced in their old living room. Those memories were the flickers of light she needed to amplify. Focus, she barked with urgency. What do we cherish? Our family. Jacob's voice rang out, brave and unwavering. Yes. Never forget that. Emily let the warmth and love build until it overflowed, a light breaking the darkness little by little. The shadows hissed, recoiling as the brightness surged, illuminating the room with a fierce glow. But it wasn't enough. The mirrors erupted with visions of betrayal, accusations, images of abandonment, all the fears that gnawed at Emily's heart. You can't protect them, the creature wailed, a chorus of twisted voices simplifying her anguish into single thoughts. You are powerless. Stay united, Emily yelled. Then, another mirror shattered, splinters flying. Each jagged piece reflected warped dimensions where her worst fears lived. The walls of the chamber pulsed as if alive, vibrating with an energy that swirled around them, seeking to consume their light. Lily, remember when we climbed that tree together? Emily urged, desperate to keep them anchored. The day we picked the biggest apples? We were so happy. Lily took a shaky breath. Yeah. I climbed higher than you. Exactly. You're so brave. We can be brave now. Suddenly, she felt a fracture within herself. Despair threatened to take root, a whisper of doubt curling around her heart. Could she be strong enough? Would her love be sufficient against this evil? An anguished scream echoed behind them as Jacob's reflection began to twist, turning him into a wailing specter, eyes wide with terror. Mommy, don't let it take me. No, Emily shouted, a primal cry that shattered her own despair. You are not afraid. You are not alone. She tore her gaze from the mirrors, focusing instead on the bond between her, Jacob, and Lily. In that moment of crystal clarity, Emily felt a surge of warmth cascading through her veins. Focusing on her children, she felt the love radiate between them, clean and pure, scattering the shadows with each heartbeat. As the light expanded, it created a barrier that pushed against the encroaching darkness. The shadows writhed, shrieking in protest. But it wasn't enough. The mirrors still reflected twisted faces, a montage of doubt and fear that clawed back at her. Breathing heavily, desperation clawing at her throat, Emily locked eyes with the girls. We have to break the mirrors. We need to shatter what they represent. The creature laughed, a haunting echo that reverberated in the chamber. You think destroying the mirrors will end your suffering? They are but the beginning. Summoning every ounce of courage, Emily lunged for the nearest mirror. Together on 3. 1, 2, 3. They struck at once, their hands slamming into the surface with unyielding force. The mirror cracked, shards raining down like confetti of despair. But behind the glass, She felt a shudder, a ripple of energy that felt like courage fueling their resolve. The moment they broke through, the chamber began to vibrate more violently. Pieces of the creature's laughter morphed into screams, as dark tendrils hastened to pull them back. They pressed forward, shattering more mirrors, forgetting their fears, wrapping themselves in the pure essence of love that radiated from within. And just as Emily's heart swelled with a flicker of triumph, the ground beneath them began to quake violently. "Mommy, what is happening?" Jacob screamed, fear dominating his voice. "There's no turning back now," Emily shouted, aiming for the next mirror, yearning for freedom. But as they destroyed the last reflection, a deafening roar enveloped the room, a final testament of the creature's fury. Then everything went dark. A solitary laugh and the whisper of dread lingered in the air. What awaited them in the next chamber? Had they truly escaped the darkness, or had they merely awakened something even more sinister? Emily's heart pounded in the suffocating darkness. Seconds stretched into infinity. The silence buzzed with unspeakable tension. She could barely breathe, the weight of the unknown pressing down on her chest. Had they truly escaped, or had they just traded one terror for another? In that stillness, Jacob's frantic voice cut through. "Mommy, hold my hand." "Right here," Emily whispered, her voice trembling. She gripped Jacob's hand, reaching for Lily, who shivered beside her. The chill in the air was palpable, thick with the smell of dampness and despair. Flickering shadows danced across what she could barely see, a stone floor, uneven and cold, bare walls echoing with whispers that seemed to probe into her mind. "What's happening?" Lily asked, her small voice quaking with fear. "Stay close. Don't let go." Desperate to keep their collective courage strong, Emily raised her chin, willing her heart to steady. Then the darkness began to stir. A low growl reverberated, rumbling beneath their feet like distant thunder. The whispers grew louder, then sharper. They twisted into words, twisted like the mirrors they had broken. "Welcome to my domain." A voice like gravel and fire slithered through the air, wrapping around their throats. Emily felt her stomach drop. The creature was here, lurking in the folds of the night. "Where are we?" Jacob's voice quaked, the familiar confidence waning. "It's a labyrinth," Lily murmured, eyes darting in all directions, seeking an escape. "I can feel it." And that S when they saw them flickering lights ahead. Ghostly torches lining a long corridor, flames dancing wildly as if held by invisible hands. "Let us go towards the lights," Jacob shouted, defiance illuminating his voice. "Wait, we have to be careful," Emily cautioned, her nerves fraying. They stepped forward, eyes darting, hearts racing. With each step, the shadows around them thickened, creeping closer, as if eager to shadow their every move as they rounded a corner. They stumbled upon a massive door, intricately carved with grotesque faces, contorted in eternal screams. Emily pressed her palm against the cool wood, feeling a chill seep into her bones. The door seemed to pulse, as if alive, and with a deep breath, she turned the handle that a screech replied, metal on metal, echoing like a thunderclap. The door creaked open, revealing a vast chamber cloaked in low, flickering light. They entered cautiously, a trio against the shadows. What lay before them made their blood run cold. Walls lined with more mirrors, each larger than the last, reflecting not just their images but chaotic scenes of horror. Jacob screamed as the twin images of them stood frozen in fear, mouths agape, eyes wide with terror, while behind them lurked the dark essence of the creature, twisting and writhing. "What is that?" Jacob stammered, edging closer to Emily. "It's not just a reflection. They're their memories." Lily gasped. The mirrors pulsed, flashes of their happiest moments descending into chaos. Emily's mind raced. "They want us to give in to fear. We can't look at it. We can't let it get to us." But it was already too late. The memories came rushing back, their fights, the doubts, the separations. Each reflection dripped with regret, taunting her with the notion that she had failed them somehow. Choking on despair, Emily felt her knees buckle. Suddenly, a striking crack split the air. One of the mirrors shattered, sending a chilling hum throughout the room. The creature roared in fury, shadows writhing violently around them. Emily gasped as the shimmering black mist slipped from the shattered glass, rising and falling like smoke. "Mommy, what do we do?" Jacob cried, tears in his eyes. "Focus on the light," Emily urged. "We have to break out of this darkness." But the shadows edged closer, curling around them like claws ready to snatch them away. Emily's heart raced as she steeled herself against the growing panic. "Follow me. We can defeat this thing." Taking a deep breath, she charged at the nearest mirror, willing them all to strike with her. But as they smashed the glass, the walls shuddered. Violently, "Fear I senti just in our past," Emily cried, feeling the weight of truth as it dropped like a stone in her heart. "It's here, it's now." With a swift motion, she turned to face her children, breathing hard. "We need to embrace it. We need to face the darkness together. Only then can we escape." Just as they prepared to strike again, a new voice echoed through the room, sending shockwaves through the darkness. "You think you've figured it out? Then let the real games begin." And with that, the lights flickered off, plunging them into utter darkness once more. Were they knee-deep in their own memories? Or had they awakened the deepest, most terrifying fears within? What awaited them ahead? And how much further could their courage stretch? The darkness washed over Emily, each breath feeling heavy and labored. No lights, no clarity, just the echoes of fear twisting through her mind. She squeezed her children's hands tighter, their small frames trembling against the cold uncertainty. "We can't let fear win," she murmured, gauging their resolve, willing them to find strength even now. Then, as if sensing her determination, the shadows writhed, revealing faint flickers, tiny sparks like fireflies, lighting the edges of their nightmare. The creature's voice resonated again, dripping with contempt. "You think brief moments of light can shatter an abyss? I will show you despair. Not if we stand united," Emily shouted, channeling every ounce of love she had for her children. The shadows surged closer, sleek and serpentine, lurking a storm ready to consume them whole. But instead of backing down, Emily recalled the treasured memories of laughter, warmth, and love shared with her family. Those moments fueled her spirit, igniting the courage within her. "Do you remember picking apples in the park?" she asked, her voice steady despite the chaos swirling around them. "Remember how we laughed until we rolled in the grass?" Lily's anxious sobs subsided into nods, Jacob looking earnestly at Emily. "Yeah, I want to go back." "Then let us go back. We're not here to be consumed," she replied, and with fierce determination, she turned towards the shadows, raising their joined hands high. "You will not take us." The darkness pulled back slightly, hesitating before progressing, and Emily seized the moment. "Or let us transform," she exclaimed, a desperate thought igniting within her. "What if instead of succumbing to fear, we embrace it? We together can face these memories." They leaned into one another, hearts beating in sync, channeling not just love but hope, weaving powerful energy that surged through the air. "Together," she reiterated, feeling the warmth amplify as her children echoed back, their voices mingling. "Together," as if responding to their collective strength, the creature lunged forth, a colossal shadow with a gaping maw. But they stood firm, focusing on holding together, anchoring themselves in each other's love. "Feel your courage, kids," Emily insisted, and they began to advance, each step countering the creature's power. The glowing warmth from their joined hands pierced the oppressive darkness, illuminating the twisted reflections of their laughter in the mirrors lining the chamber. With each footfall, the brilliance grew, casting aside the shadows that wanted to envelop them. "Mom, look," Jacob cried, pointing at the mirrors refracting their essence not as fear but as potential. Every surface bounced light back at them, distorting the nightmarish chaos into colorful trails. Suddenly, the nearest mirror began to crack, the power of their love causing the mortar of despair to fracture. With a climactic roar, Emily led her children toward it. "Now," she cried, and they struck the mirror with all their might. The glass shattered, a symphony of sound echoing through the chamber, each shard releasing trapped memories of joy, laughter, and love. The creature howled, a tormented scream that swallowed the shadows and stoked the flames of hope that now roared within Emily's heart. "Keep going," she urged her children as the light spilled out, wrapping around them golden ribbons of safety, pulling them closer. "Don't look back," Lily shouted, eyes wide but resolute, her voice stronger now, echoing against the shadows that hesitated for the first time. With each mirror shattered, whispers of the past faded the laughs. The moments shared, the echoes became less of the creature's voice and more like soft reminders of love. The darkness shuddered, the figure writhing, growing faint as the light expanded. "Just a little more," Emily yelled, their ever-thickening light pushing through layers of despair. Rushing forward, they came to a final, enormous mirror, the center of it all. Together, they shouted in unison, arms outstretched. The crack formed. The moment stretched. With a final, resounding crash, they shattered the glass. Light erupted into the air, sweeping away the clutches of fear like morning mist. Silence followed, overwhelming and bright. Slowly, Emily opened her eyes. They were outside. The sun rayed above, basking the three of them in gold. The mall stood behind them, but it looked alive with vibrancy. Its dark secrets laid bare, shadows lifted. "We did it." Jacob bounded into Emily's arms. Lily hugged them tightly, relief flooding through her features. "Mommy, we're home," Lily whispered, her eyes shining bright, not with fear but with hope. "Yes, love. We're free," Emily exclaimed, her heart full and light. Love had conquered fear, and she knelt down, cupping their faces in her hands, filled with gratitude and relief. "Always together, right?" Jacob smiled. "Always together," Emily reaffirmed, embracing them with a fierce tenderness beneath the glistening sun. With the burdens of the past lifted, they walked away from the mall, hand in hand, the warmth of their shared heartbeat guiding them toward a future unbound by terror. But before the camera snaps away, take a moment. You need to subscribe now to keep up with stories that reach beyond the veil of fear. Smash that like button to show your support. Now it's time to spread the light. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. We want to hear them all. And please, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Let's illuminate the world together.